Gwinnett Medical Center has always been known for its medical excellence. But like so many other hospitals, they have also struggled with improving patient satisfaction. Recently, in the midst of a large building expansion, it was decided that a state-of-the-art physical addition wasn't enough. Patient satisfaction had to improve.
When you compare where we have been with our satisfaction, there wasn't that true connection. We, frankly, on our outpatient side, and it's public knowledge, our outpatient satisfaction was at 1%. And we knew that we were better than that.
We get tons of awards for our clinical excellence, and that's beautiful. That's what healthcare is supposed to be.
Maybe we've alluded to the North Tower coming on board, but we had kind of the ultimate distraction hitting us right in the face. And to be able to move patient satisfaction in the midst of that whirlwind we knew was going to be a challenge.
In the midst of constructing the new tower, one of the most significant expansions in the history of the hospital, they were determined to raise the scores on the patient's experience.
We knew we had to do it because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to move into a new, beautiful building.
We wanted to make sure that we improved our processes, that we didn't bring, if you will, our old baggage from the South Tower over to the North Tower.
You know, when our patients come here, they don't really know whether they're receiving good technical care. But what they do know is how they're treated. And that gets into that, how friendly were people, how courteous.
Did they feel respected? Did they feel cared for? They come in sick, they expect to go home better. Did they feel like ultimately, no matter what else was going on in the background, when we were with them, they were our number one priority.
Well, I was at a point in my career where I was getting a little bit desperate, and I happened to notice on my email an invitation to some kind of a seminar that was focused on execution strategies. And when we got there and saw what they had to present on the 4 disciplines, we both were like, my gosh,
exactly.
This is what we need to do. This is what we're missing.
You could see the excitement that was on their faces, and they were energized.
We told Jeff, we got to do this. This is our answer to moving our scores finally. It had all the ingredients that we needed.
The reason why I know Press Ganey so well is because I worked there before I came here. So the numbers were very comfortable to me. And coming from Press Ganey as a consultant, going to the actual healthcare side to see if I could implement what I had told people before they could do with no problem wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be.
I've always tended to focus on the nursing piece of it, which is very much the clinical side. And I've always felt that if we could improve nursing care, that would result in improved patient satisfaction scores. I realized that didn't impact enough the overall results.
Carol nor I have ever had a patient say, Jay, that was the best surgical procedure I've ever had.
Yeah,
May I
really?
sign up for another one this afternoon? But what they can relate to is my hot food hot, is my cold food cold, is the room comfortable, is it clean? But more importantly, are people nice to me?
Was the nurse nice to me?
Exactly.
Was the doctor? Did they explain things to me?
They were going to improve the quality of the temperature of the food at the time it arrived to the patient. And they began a process of systematically identifying why the hot food, while it was hot when it left the kitchen, was not hot enough when it arrived at the patient.
Lag measure, which was at a 30 percentile. And we decided we would make a difference of 60% by March of 2010.
The very first step they put in was to measure the temperature of the food at 3 critical points. They would measure it in the kitchen, they would measure it as it was leaving the kitchen, and they would measure it as it arrived at each patient's room. And while the scores on the first 2 checkpoints, being prepared and in the kitchen, were fine, it was failing to meet the one as it arrived at the patient's room. They determined that it was actually the equipment, the warming equipment itself, that was failing to keep the food hot enough for it to arrive at the patient's room. A conclusion they would never have been able to draw had they not had a lead measure of tracking the temperature of the food as it moved through the entire journey from kitchen to patient.
Then we had to measure, getting the trays to the patient within a timely manner. We came up with the 10-10 rule. either 10 trays on a cot and you left the kitchen, or within 10 minutes. It did not matter. You had to go. The patient had to be served. As of the first of this week, we were at 99% for as test trays, 100, 10-10 rule.
Their lag measure went from the 20th to the 60th when they
Phenomenal growth.
realized that base heater problem.
And continues to climb. Our hostesses, which deliver the trays, immediately took ownership and saw how they were impacting the patient experience.
One of the areas that we were struggling in particularly was our women's services, which of course that's supposed to be a very happy occasion when people come and spend time with us.
In the Women's Pavilion, which includes the maternal infant unit, labor and delivery, and high-risk pregnancy, their wig was to improve the patient's response to, you met my emotional needs, from the 10th percentile to the 30th percentile.
The other thing about women's services is those scores really drive a lot of the overall inpatient scores, because we get more surveys back from our women, and oftentimes they're more opinionated about their care.
They have done some very focused lead measures.
They decided that the 3 things that they needed to do with their patients were make sure that the mom had all of the information she needed to take care of the baby, make sure that the mom had all that she needed to take care of herself, that she was very knowledgeable about that, and then third, do you have any worries or concerns before you leave the hospital?
You know, prior to that, there was a little bit of when the families would walk in, sometimes the nurses wouldn't stop what they were doing and recognize that they were coming in. And I think what we've all realized is that sometimes it just takes a minute to stop and say, hi, my name is Tim, my name is Deborah, and do you have anything that's really concerning you today that I can answer for you? Any questions or anything I can do for you?
We made weekly commitments in the beginning, following up with the staff that weren't being able to meet their goals. Then we were making commitments around problem solving, and now we're making commitments around recognition.
If you walk into the maternal infant unit now, everyone looks up and says, good morning, good afternoon. They are very concerned with making sure everybody feels that they are there to serve.
As of October 30th, our score was 99th percentile for the high-risk pregnancy unit. September, we were at 65th percentile for women's and children's services.
We have achieved as high as 99%. And speaking with the patient, you know, and just being direct, how was your experience with us? You know, did we take care of everything you needed? I didn't even see the husband was sitting off to the side. He jumped up. And he said, we have been to every hospital from downtown to here. It wasn't until we got here that we felt we were being taken care of. And with that, I always feel that we can always improve. So I asked him, I said, is there anything that we can do as a hospital, as an organization, as a department to make it even better? And he actually, you know, I was expecting the typical, no, y'all guys are great. But that wasn't what he said. What he said was, yes, there is. And so I jumped up, please tell me, inform me. He said, you can take what you're doing and teach the other hospitals.
Every leader is looking for that magical day in which the team says, this is important to us, we are driving this. And they're also looking for that wonderful day when every member of every team says, it's important to me, this is who I want to be.
You know, they say that, you know, culture is all about what everybody does when we're not here.
Exactly.
And, you know, that is so true. You know, you have that Hawthorne effect. When you're around checking people, a lot of times they're going to step up to the plate and do what they're supposed to be doing. But the truth is, how they act when we're not around is what the culture is of the organization.
The staff is also realizing that they need to do these sort of behaviors to each other. When you treat each other with respect and that kind consideredness as a staff to a staff member, then it's easier to do it to somebody that you don't even know.
We have seen such cultural transformation in just the short period of time that we've been working with the 4 disciplines. The feel of walking through these hallways now as compared to when I started here 3 years ago is phenomenal. There's a team feel that's just unbelievable. The culture's beautiful. I couldn't be happier.
For me, The highlight of this entire experience came on the day that I received the phone call that Gwinnett Medical Center's scores had gone from the 1st percentile to the 99th percentile, and that this objective was achieved on the same day in which the new tower opened. Truly, the vision had come true.
We started with our first group in June. Our inpatient satisfaction at that time was kind of, hovering around the 20th percentile. And in October, we had the highest inpatient satisfaction we have ever had. So we've seen that initial increase, but now we've got to get up to this level where we're sustaining it at the 80th to 90th percentile.
Although we're using it around raising the bar in patient satisfaction, we have 3 other key strategies in quality, in operations, operational excellence, which is your financial performance, and our growth focus. In each of those, this is a tool, this is a methodology that we can apply around those other key strategies.